Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you here for So What Were You Wearing? I'm the host of our show, and my name is Heidi Townsend, and I am forever curious about what people were wearing and all the twists and turns that happened on their journey of love. So joining us today is Josie James, and she's a writer, actor, and bon vivant extraordinaire, super lover of life. So Josie, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I know we've been planning this for a while, so just delighted that, you're in demand, I realize. So we're lucky to get you for today. So what I want to start off with, and you know a little bit about the show and my background and my whole interest in this, but it's really to see what transpired and what were you wearing and what happened when you first met the love of your life.
Yeah, such an interesting way to move into a story.
I know, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and I realize it's, sometimes we don't even know in the moment what's going to evolve, right? When we first meet someone, I mean, who would think? I mean, why would I be thinking, gosh, what am I wearing at this moment in time? Because it's just an ordinary day. It's just a day like any other day. And then it turns out to be anything but any day at all. So that's kind of the entry point into our story to find out, what happened along your way of love, finding love in your life.
Okay. So are you asking?
Or do you like, yeah. So tell me, do you remember exactly what you were wearing on the day that you first laid eyes? Well, first tell us who, I mean, we need a little story here as far as who this person is and how you have met them, but then also what you were wearing on that day, because I literally do not know who it is.
Oh, okay. Well, it's such a unique story about how I met my husband. Yeah. I actually was going through a breakup and went to Europe with a big group of girlfriends, and we were just having the time of our life. And they actually were all on something called MySpace.
Yes. I remember MySpace.
Yeah, and I was not. So they were posting all of our pictures on MySpace, and I was like, hey, I want to be on that thing. So I joined just to see the European pictures, and just started. I was actually really sick with the flu. So not a romantic story.
Where were you? Were you in a hotel room? Were you
It was when I was home sick with the flu. It was when we had gotten back from trip.
Europe. So you had this fantastic trip over in Europe with your girlfriends, and then coming back, you're not feeling well, and you're at home relaxing, trying to feel better, right? Maybe. Yeah. And then you're on MySpace.
And then I'm on MySpace in my pajamas, and I come across Todd's site. And I didn't know how it worked. I thought you had to ask to be friends in order to even, I just didn't know how it worked. So I asked him.
So you were in your pajamas. That's what I'm hearing, right? Okay.
Yeah. So just that shows like zero expectation.
Right. I mean, who would think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so, I'm not feeling well either. That's no fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So, then he started writing me, and I was not interested in talking to him. I just thought that that's how MySpace worked. Is you got these friends. I don't know what I thought, but I was like,
so you were not interested in him at the time?
No.
Wow.
Not at all.
Why was that? You just didn't see anything there that was of interest, or what was?
Oh, I thought he looked like a great guy. He had like all these pictures of his family and his mom, and I just thought, oh, he looks really nice. He would be somebody you'd want as a friend on a website.
Nothing more, right? Of course not.
Yeah. But and then he kept emailing, and we just started emailing each other, and then he finally asked, I think a few weeks went by, and he finally asked, will you meet me to watch the sunset? And if you don't like me, you can go home. And if you like me, we can go to dinner.
Is that romantic? How
Oh,
sweet. Yeah.
and
So then what did you wear then?
I'm like, that's like, but I still wasn't sure because I didn't know anything about him. So I wore jeans and a t-shirt. So basic, because I wasn't sure if I was going to like the sunset.
Absolutely. Or the company with the sunset. With the sunset.
Yeah.
Well, that is so sweet and tender, and to give you that nice out right there at the beginning, as far as a graciousness of not wanting you to be put on the spot, not wanting you to feel imposed upon is kind of the sense I get.
Right.
And that shows a real sensitivity in my thought, as far as how he was. And were you nervous at all when you were going to meet him, or did you just think it was
yes
any other way? Mm-hmm.
Well, because I live in LA and you never know what's gonna roll up.
What do you mean by that, Josie?
Just the dating world in LA is very unique. There are a lot of characters and a lot of you want me to be frank?
Sir, please.
There's a lot of self-obsession here in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
So
self-obsession, which looks like narcissistic behavior, or
how can you benefit me type of
God.
or convenience, or so I had zero expectations walking in.
Right. You thought this might just be one more of those.
Yeah.
One more with what do they want now?
Yes. Or will it click, or will it just be like another cup of coffee, or so
right. But you did that, you even in spite of all of these feelings that you were having, that it's just going to be another one of those, and do I have to subject myself, is what I'm kind of hearing, that you were willing to take that one more step, dress casually. It wasn't no expectations here, is kind of what I'm hearing, just nice jeans and a t-shirt, show up, take a look at the sunset, maybe take a look at the guy and see if what's happening. So you were willing to take that one more step into the ring, kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What made you do that? Just for myself and for our listeners, I'm sure there was, or maybe there was a tug of war inside of you, possibly, to say, I'm not going to do this one more time. How did you, if that was the case, how did you get past that in order to be willing to take that one more step?
That's very interesting you asked that, because that is where I was. I was not interested.
That gives me chills. I just want to share with you.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of embracing finding myself and being on my own after breaking up with someone. And
understandable then, right?
Yeah. And I don't, it wasn't his delivery also, like, just meet me for a sunset. That's it. I'm not asking you for an evening, even a dinner, a sit down. You don't even have to spend an hour with me. Just so there wasn't pressure.
So that was kind of the reason then that you kind of said, kind of went over into the, okay, I'll do this, was because of the low pressure, the low stakes, the low everything. Okay.
Right. Because we all have, or I can't say we all, I guess.
Many of us.
There is a timidness that, especially if, you're looking, you have a yearning and you have that fairy tale in your mind that you do hope you find love. But it's difficult when you keep throwing yourself out there and you're just not finding that one.
You're not met in the way that you're being willing to be met, right? And with how you're showing up.
Yeah. and seeing how,
And seeing how what?
and seeing, so having someone see you the way you're attempting to see them. It's kind of a miracle when two people find each other and feel the same way and can speak openly and are just as willing as the other. There is such an angelic beauty in that.
Absolutely.
And one has to be open to experience it.
Yes, you're so right. You have to be open to experience it, which means that you need to get behind, out from behind that voice that whispers in your ear and says, oh, don't go. Oh, right. Don't try one more time. But to be willing to go out there and do it in spite of all that.
Yes. And I had a mentor growing up that in adolescence, he would tell me, there were two things he always said: that he wants to see me shoot for the star. He would rather see me shoot for the stars and miss than shoot for the gutter and make it.
I love that.
And in my dating life, if it doesn't make a good date, it's going to be a good story. So to always go out, always just do it. And if it is horrible, you're going to have probably a great story and some material to use to tell your friends or to write or. So.
That's so true. And how did you put into practice, in addition to that, having the good story, but how did you put that into practice as far as shooting for the stars rather than the gutter, which is a great quote from your mentor? How did that play out in the dating arena?
Well, when your ideal future is to find that soulmate perfect one, you have to shoot for the stars. You might miss, but you got to keep aiming high
and keep going for what you want.
Yeah.
And keep showing up and keep collecting those stories so that you can tell your friends, right?
Yeah, because you never know,
right?
Like when you're gonna meet him.
You never do. Yeah. So there you were, never knowing, thinking, okay, I'm going to take one more. I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to keep shooting for the stars and keep going and show up for this date and look at and be there with the sunset.
Yeah.
So
even though I don't want to. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us about even though I don't want to. What would you have preferred to do that night?
I don't know. I just think I was just
I hear you were so done. That's what I hear.
I was just reluctant. I was reluctant.
Yeah.
But that just telling myself like just do it. Just you never know.
And so what happened?
So we started dating.
What happened at the sunset?
Oh, don't jump ahead.
I mean, so you go to the beach, obviously. Which beach was it?
We didn't actually go to the sand of the beach. It was Pacific Park on the bluffs of Santa Monica.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really pretty, and not a lot of people were out, which was rare because usually it's pretty packed around sunset. And it was easy, to talk to him, and there wasn't any pressure, and I was pleasantly relieved that it was going so smoothly. And then the sun sets and he just looked over at me and smiled and said, "Dinner?"
Sweet. That is so sweet.
We went to dinner.
And you went to dinner. Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so you felt comfortable. You felt at ease.
Yes.
You were, this one was worth showing up for.
Yeah. And I think that's important, to feel at ease and to be yourself.
Because
that's the only way you're going to know if it's the right fit.
Right. So true. So true. So you did, you felt at ease and you were, and so really, just from the, so what were you wearing? So what you were wearing was really a downplay, really to just be fully present there for you to make sure that you were, basically completely you and authentic in your jeans and t-shirt, and would be having a real conversation is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm hearing from that
Yeah.
perspective of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no trying to dress up, no trying to impress, no trying to do anything.
No.
Just like, I'm here and we're going to
Yes.
have a conversation. Let's get real.
Yes. And is this going to work?
Right.
Yeah.
And am I interested in going to dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did.
Yeah. And yes, and that's a great point. Am I interested in going to dinner?
Yeah.
Instead of feeling that pressure that sometimes women feel where you're trying to make the situation smooth, or, like really listening to yourself. Like, do I want to go to dinner?
And you
Yeah.
did listen to yourself, it sounds like, in that
Yeah.
in that moment. And when you listen to yourself, I think that's a really good point that you bring up. What were you hearing? What was that internal monologue, dialogue with yourself that was going on as you were, because those are important few minutes, those are precious moments, right? Because they never happen again. It's that one time where you're really first meeting this person in real life.
Yes.
And then with that internal dialogue, just again, to give an insight, it's kind of like we're slowing down the journey here, just so that our listeners and I can really hear into what were you weighing, what were you noticing, that sort of thing.
I think the internal dialogue was that I didn't want to stop it. I didn't want to be in fear or be in or think too much about it. Like, if this feels authentic, I want to be authentic back. And however I feel I'm going to be in this moment. And that was the choice point of, I'm not going to let this get in the way. I'm just going to allow this moment, and I'm going to be present for it.
So really dropping then the judger, the critic, everything else, just being fully present, just like you said, right there in that moment, being fully present with how you felt, right? How you were, and just being fully available to what was really happening in the moment, so that you could dance with it, flow with it, whatever was going to be needed.
Right. Like, not to keep tight, but just listen to yourself and hear yourself. And is this what you want? And yeah.
So what did you think when he said dinner?
Yes.
It was just as simple as that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, let's keep it going. We're having a good time. And yeah, I say yes to dinner. And
I love the way your eyes kind of glance off as if you see it again. You see that moment in time when you're there on the bluffs.
Yeah.
Making that decision. So, and then did you walk to dinner? Did you drive? What happened?
And we drove in his car. And it was a horrible car. It was really
Oh no.
Poor guy. He had a real beater. But it was endearing. It was really sweet. And yeah, he drove and we went to El Cholo. And yeah, we had a margarita and Mexican food. And we just had a great time. We laughed. We talked about our families and our lives and our jobs. And I knew that he was somebody that I definitely wanted in my life. Like, this is a good salt of the earth human being. And I knew it was something that I wanted to continue.
That's beautiful. And then what happened next after that?
Then he took me home. He took me home, and I believe he called every day since then. So he quickly just became a staple
in your life.
in my life.
Yeah. And just, it was just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, as easy as jeans and a t-shirt.
It's I love that. As easy as jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
What a great, lesson, for all of us to just to hear that, and to hear it can be that simple. And I'm sure that there were twists and turns along the way.
Oh,
and
yeah.
As he called, like when he would call every day, when you say, oh yeah, what happened?
Well, I mean, about the twists and turns, we've had a lot of external stuff happen. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but
Please jump in. We'd love to hear if you want to share.
Yeah, Heidi, are you sure? It's a lot.
I'm absolutely sure. It's totally fine.
Okay. So Todd, I've done this story. I actually did this story for Happy Cock for Anne.
Okay.
Todd comes from a long line. I didn't think Todd and I were going to work out. Todd comes from a long line of law enforcement. His father is retired ATF. One brother's a detective. His godfather was a commissioner. His other brother's in the fire department. And Todd himself was supposed to go into the FBI. He was a criminal justice major.
Got it. Okay.
And my family is the opposite. While his family is very much into the law, parts of my family are very much into breaking it.
Okay. Got it. Right. So there's a little contrast here between the two families.
Yes, a big contrast, actually.
Right. A big contrast. Okay.
And I just didn't know how it was going to go.
Right.
And
oh my goodness. Yeah, I could just imagine what that caused, both in your family and in his family, as you started to get together.
Right. And then before I even met his family, and before he met a lot of mine, my brother-in-law was shot and killed by the LAPD.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
So, and I'm only telling you this just so you know that there was a lot of contrast. And I just thought, he's going to run for the hills, and he should, because I have no idea what this is going to unravel and how his family's going to feel about this girl in LA, because he's from Seattle. And he was actually on vacation with his whole family in Mexico when it happened. And I had to make the phone call to tell him that this had occurred. And I just thought, I expected right then and there that we're going to break up, and it's okay. And it's best for all.
And why would you have to break up based on your brother-in-law being killed?
Because sorry. I wasn't sure how his family was going to feel, the pressure he was going to go under. Sorry, that's my dog.
I love it. What's your dog's name?
Marley.
Marley. Welcome, Marley. It's good to have you here.
She's 14. She's such a sweet.
So sweet.
So I just didn't know. I didn't want to put him in the pressure. I didn't know what was going to happen to our family. We were very emotional, going through a lot. Oh
my gosh. Yeah. That's huge. I mean, that's a death in the family is just a lot. And yeah. And so was it crime related? Is that kind of what the dimension was?
Part of it, yes. And part of it, no. But then when I called him just to tell him, I expected him to take some time and to think about it. And instead he said, I'm on my next flight out. And even though I thought he should run and I kept telling him to run, he refused to run. And it was a very respectable, I just admired who he was, who his soul was, what he was willing to endure, and or what he himself thought was right, regardless of how his family or the outwards world could think. He took the time to listen to himself. And so
That's huge. That is so big in a relationship to be able to
and it was only like a month into the relationship before.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's being tested right up front, right? It's like the test. We all get tested, and it's like we never know when these tests are going to come. Right. And how, in a relationship, how will that strength, the bonding, right, that's happening between the two of you, right, how will that be tested? And that happened early on. My goodness.
Right. And that's another thing about relationships. I think the more you go through and the more you experience and the more you communicate, and the deeper the bonds and the roots go, just organically, that if you guys can talk it out and make it out and see each other, I think it's the only way to do it,
to navigate it. Sure. No, that makes total sense. It really does. And you lived the part where you really expected a different outcome. You absolutely, in your heart of hearts, it sounds like you felt, here, I've found someone who's very special to me, and oh my God, here it goes, because of what has happened that's totally outside of your control. Right. And the total external circumstance.
And feeling like it should go, like this is better for him. I might be pulling him down and giving him weight that isn't fair and that he doesn't need. So I thought it should end. And it was for his benefit. Right.
And you were willing to talk. And that's to your point of the communication, that it's so important, right? To keep talking, even though you think that there's, just like in the beginning, when you were going to go show up, to see the sunset, there's the back and forth. And do you stay engaged or do you not? Do you stay engaged? Do you not? And same here, you really, it could have played out differently from your perspective as well, but you stayed engaged, as did he.
Present and listening to yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Like not letting the fears navigate, but really like getting quiet and hearing yourself, your heart. What do you want? What is important,
Yeah, getting quiet. I love that. That's beautiful. Getting quiet so that you can hear and listen to what's really going on in your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's so easy to go to let this take over.
It is.
Yeah.
And then it becomes automatic, right? We just automatically shut it down.
Yeah. Or it could just be out of protection for yourself, or. So it's important.
Oh, true. So how did you get past, so you got past that, but how did you, he stayed in there, you stayed in there, you kept talking, and then made it out through the other side with that?
But it was a long, things got ugly. There was, because I still hadn't met his family, and they had their own processing of their own opinions and their own processing of what was happening. Our family was on the other side processing everything. But there were definitely opinions on both sides, and where we had to just stay
present. Yeah, with how you felt, with what you felt was right for your relationship, in spite of the two families.
Yes.
Really, yeah. And is that a tough one, to be able to withstand those forces, because oftentimes people can't, it's like, the family wins out type of thing. So how did you do that? How did you both, how were you both able to kind of engage the bigger conversation, right? The conversation that includes, two families from two totally different areas.
Walks of life.
Yeah, walks of life. How were you able, and how was he able to do that, to get to, I mean, I heard you refer to him as your husband, you know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
obviously a lot of territory had to be covered with both families. So how did you do that?
We had to talk. We had to communicate. We had to, even the ugly, uncomfortable, gnarly discussions, we had to have them. It had to be all up front, or else.
And so did that come pretty naturally for you and for him?
No.
How did you do it then? Josie,
no.
I mean, that's like that's going into the deep end, right? With things like that, when you're dealing with those kind of gnarly issues.
Yes.
For
You
sure.
just have to learn, or else it's not gonna withstand.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna survive.
So you both obviously felt very strongly that you wanted to be together. You didn't want, you're really bonding, and that you want to continue in spite of what your family and his family are saying.
Right. Or we wanted it on our terms. Like, if this isn't going to work, it's going to be because we've decided it's not going to work. It's not going to be because we're feeling pressure from this side or pressure from that side.
Right.
It's really important that, it's about listening to yourself. Like, is this what we want? And if so, then we're going to have the uncomfortable conversations. And because there was all sorts of stuff that comes up there. Like, he felt protective of his family. I felt protective of mine. So there was like there was a lot to navigate.
Right. You wanted to keep both. You wanted to keep your family and keep him. He wanted to keep his family, obviously, and keep you.
And I wanted him to have his relationship with his family too. That was really important. I don't want me to be a wedge or taint something. That would be like the last thing I'd want.
Of course.
So it was.
So did that mean like conversations with his family too, or just with him and with you?
We had uncomfortable conversations with the families. Yes.
Boy, that's courageous.
Opinions were said, and then they can't be unsaid. So it's like, what do you do? Do you let this opinion affect us forever, or do we talk about it? Because it's possible for someone to have their opinion and me have mine, and us not see each other's side, but respect that that's how the other person feels, and that we'll never agree or see the same.
Right.
But I can understand that that your feelings are just as real as mine.
Right.
So
to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And move on and continue.
Yeah.
Wow. True love wins out is what I'm hearing, that's really, if you're willing to stay in the flames, right? Stay in the fire and work it, right? Because it's not for the faint of heart, not an easy task. And yet it sounds like you absolutely knew that this is what you wanted to do.
Yeah. But it could be an easy task.
How so, Josie? Tell us.
Tell
us how it can be easy. Give us the recipe, okay? We want the recipe. Because did you feel that it was easy then? Was it easy with just by talking and communicating, it became easy?
Yes, if you want to be there. I think that's what you decide, or that's what you feel, or that's what's organic. And if this is where you want to be and this is where you belong, then you do what you got to do to stay.
Right.
And not lose that connection.
That's beautiful. My goodness. Wow. No, that really is. I think that it sounds like a still point that you
Yeah.
came to, that this is where you want to be, this is what you want to be doing, and just staying present.
Yeah. Staying present. If that's the only thing I can say, that's the for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And so staying present, and then that is what helped you move through this space of the challenge,
Yeah.
The gates, basically, as you went forward, gate by gate, place by place, into relationship together.
Yeah.
And knowing that this was building, it sounds like, your foundation for your future relationship into your lives.
Yeah.
Based on this foundational work, which really is, it's that building of the muscles, right? Of those relationship muscles that you both did so effectively, so that you were able to get through, is what I'm hearing. You tell me how you got through, if you don't mind. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
No, yeah, 100%.
Okay. How did it smooth out so that you could move forward with your relationship?
He proposed.
Okay, then.
And I did not expect it.
It's like the dinner question goes to the proposed question. I'm with you.
Yes.
Okay, so he proposed. So tell us how, where in this process did that all of a sudden pop out or happen?
So it was I'm going to air it all out, Heidi.
Please do. We are ready, and just share anything you want to share.
Okay, our family had a lawsuit against the LAPD for what had happened. And we were going to dinner, another dinner. And
of course, another dinner.
I assumed that he was taking me to dinner to break up with me. So goodness. I was the whole dinner, I was just grappling, like, okay, it's going to be fine. Let's just enjoy the dinner.
Oh my goodness.
Just get through
It'll be the last time we'll be together.
Yes. So again, I was like trying to stay present, like, okay, let's just get to the dinner and then whatever. And then after dinner is when he got on his knee, and I was just like, that is not at all what I saw happening. And I remember when he asked, it was like his life flashed before my eyes. Like, are you sure? Like, I just kept asking, are you sure? Like, you wanted to jump on this crazy train? Like, you're in. And he was like, yeah, like unwavering, yes, I'm sure. And then I was just like, okay, if we're going to do this, like, we're going to do this. Me and him.
Beautiful.
And it was from that we just, we made the commitment just to be honest and stay, me and him, no matter what happened, what was gonna be down our pike, just stay present.
Josie, that's just amazing. Just you going into that dinner expecting the complete opposite of what occurred. Again, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the month in, you expected the breakup's going to happen, and it didn't happen. The continuation, going to dinner, we're going to break up, and the exact opposite, and you're there present.
Yes, and it was at that dinner that when he asked, it was like that decision, like, okay, so we're not going to break up then.
Did you actually say that to him?
No, but
okay. I'm curious.
No, but as he was on his knee, I remember he was so nervous. He was like, I took so long to answer because everything was going through my mind. He was like, people are thinking you're saying no. Are you saying no?
Oh.
And I remember thinking, oh my God.
So there you are in the restaurant. Okay, let's just imagine this right now. So you're in the restaurant, there's all kinds of people.
Yeah.
It's teeming with laughter and conversations and everything. And you've just had a great dinner together, right? And enjoyed each other. And then you're sitting there. And then all of a sudden he's on his knee. Is that right?
I thought he threw out his back. Yeah. He just boom, hit the floor.
Threw out his back. Okay, then. So you're going, oh my gosh. And then, but then obviously, so you think he throws out his back. What do you notice next? As
I stood up to see if he was okay. He was on the ground, and that's when he was holding this box.
Mm-hmm.
And my brain wasn't keeping up with what my eyes were seeing. And then he asked, and I just froze in that moment with so many thoughts in my head. And that's when I was like, are you sure this is your life? This is yours. Do you want this like this? Because it was intense, and it was emotional, and it was hard. And I could see, again, I could see why he would want to run in that moment. And I was just like, whoa, so you don't want to break up at all, like ever. Like that's, and then he was like, are people think you're saying no? Are you saying no? And oh my God. I just looked at him, and I made that choice point of saying, okay, yes, let's do this. And one woman was still watching, and she clapped. And I was like, thank you.
That's so cute. Everybody else went back to eating.
Yeah, it was like back to the clinking of the plates and forks. And
how adorable. Oh my gosh, that is so precious. Yeah. No, and just to visualize him just gazing at you, kind of going, what's happening? You know, just that he was holding his breath, no doubt, hoping that you would say yes. And you did.
Yeah.
And you did.
And I did.
When you least expected to be saying yes. So again, that's another lesson for us, right?
Yeah.
Another lesson that when you least expect it, there all of a sudden, there you are.
Just be present and listen.
Mm-hmm. And so be present and listen. So communication is what I heard, be present and listen. And really, and being true to yourself all along, right? By listening into what you're feeling and what's happening inside of you, in spite of what the external circumstances are. That's a biggie.
All the outside noise. Yes.
Because there was a lot of it, is what I'm hearing. A lot of it that was going on from families, from very primal sources too, that we're connected with.
Right.
And then, of course, the journey from him on bended knee and you finally saying yes, right? to that actually making it to the actual marriage, I'm sure was another, journey.
Yes.
And I don't know if you want to go into that to share with us how that, any other lessons you might have learned along that path, but was that as grueling as the first part, or was that a little bit easier possibly?
No, from the moment that I said, he asked and I said yes, it was like that was our deal. That was like, okay, we're doing this. And so now we're gonna stay communicating and present and talking, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And you did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Wow. And all from a MySpace, right? All from MySpace. And a trip to Europe with the girlfriends after having broken up with your other, so your past relationship, and shaking it off and just stepping forward again. So
because if it doesn't make a good date, it makes a good story.
There you go. There you go. And right, we can keep rolling those out forever, right? So, but now, so you've got a good story that you're sharing with how one of those actually blossomed. and blossomed beautifully into this just really, quite a challenging story of how you navigate through it. But again, staying true, listening in, being there with you and with him. And then once that commitment was made, standing by the commitment, which you're both made of that same fiber, right? That same being true to each other, being true to yourselves, and doing that. So how long was it from your proposal to actually, getting married with families or no families involved?
From the proposal, I think it was like around 9 months.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was like 9 months until we got married on a beach in Mexico.
Josie, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being, willing to share all of this with us. It's been so insightful, so beautiful to hear, and
Good.
such a sensitive story. Is there anything else? I mean, is there any other question that I could ask right now that would be helpful, or that something that you would want to share?
Oh boy. No, I mean, I think I have shared it all. I mean, being true to
Yeah.
yourself is, and trusting that.
Yeah. And staying with it.
Yes. And for some, that might be, leaving a relationship. It might be that the courage that you need to move forward and keep going. But I think that that's the essence of your being. You have to listen to, because that's your journey. That's what's meant to be, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it is your journey. It's what's meant to be, and to listen and to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And just stay present and stay in tune. And regardless of what you expect is going to happen, stay open.
Yes.
Stay open, stay present, stay available, and just in the moment, and not even thinking too far down the road, just knowing, this is where we are. This is, with the proposal, and we'll just, that's what happened, and knowing that somehow, some way, with the two of you together, that you will be getting to that, to actually getting married, to the altar, whatever it looks like, to that place of full commitment, just knowing that you're on solid ground, and knowing that as you listen in as well, if you need to make any shifts or any changes, that you're in tune so that you can make those along the way as you go.
Yes. And trusting that. Because you can't trust him if you don't trust yourself, right?
Right.
So
Trusting yourself. Josie, thank you so much. This has been so just deeply insightful for me, and just really helpful, just knowing that you can go, and that, what you least expect can actually happen. That, just, I love your comment of, okay, so this means we're not breaking up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so it's going the other way, and I'm here and I'm present, and yes, I will get to yes. I will, and you got to yes, and you got to, by checking in with you all the way along,
right.
you got to that yes. That
Yes.
that did come out of your mouth, that did, and you got that single applause, which was perfect.
I know.
Like that.
Thank
So,
God you were there. Yeah.
thank God you was there. We have a performance here. We need an applause. It's that simple. So yeah, so speak, yes. This is just spectacular to hear the story firsthand, and also for our listeners. And I know that you offer so much on a weekly basis too, Josie, with your blog. Tell us a little bit about that you've been doing, if you don't mind.
So in the pandemic, I began a blog called becomingjosie.com, and I post weekly, every Friday. And my attempt at it, sometimes I hit it and sometimes I fail. But I want to do stories of choice points, or when I've discovered something, or sometimes it's poems, but within the poem there's a choice I make, and it's kind of the choices that navigate me through my life, and I'm sharing them and who I'm becoming.
It's fantastic. I've read many of them, and I love your posts. They are so inspiring and so rich, and it's such a wonderful thing to get in my mailbox every week, because then I can just dive in, absolutely, and read and get a quick hit of inspiration, which I always do from those. So thank you, Josie, so much, and thanks for taking the time today, to share with our audience here on what were you wearing, what you were wearing, and to really give an insight into that, to keep it simple. Focus on what's true. Yeah, be you, be the authentic you. Is that right? Yeah. So give us some.
I mean, you matter, right? Your voice matters.
Exactly. Your voice matters.
Yeah.
And that is really what matters, right? And so what are your final words for us? Just 3 or 5 or 6 simple words for us, Josie.
Follow your heart and trust it, and it'll take care of you. Yeah.
Follow your heart, trust it, and it will take care of you.
Yes.
Thank you, Josie James. It's been delightful having you here.
I had a blast.
I'm so glad. Okay. You never know, to be continued. Stay tuned. We may have more stories from Josie in the future. Thanks so much for joining us today, everyone. And Josie, we look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.